Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Cyclone Fanatic post-game report. Sponsored, as always, by our friend Centurion Stone. You guys just saw the pre-roll there, as well as Whiskey River. No matter where you're at in central Iowa, you can support a longtime friend of Cyclone Fanatic, and that's Whiskey River. Check out their flagship location in downtown Ames. Whiskey River Ankeny is located in Prairie Trail. And then, of course, their newest location, Whiskey River downtown Des Moines on Ingersoll, for fantastic liquor and beer selection and amazing burgers. It's Whiskey River, a proud partner of Cyclone Fanatic. And then last but not least, of course, our friends at Fareway. Check out the new Fareway Meat Market in Ames, or go to fareway.com for store locators and healthy and easy recipes today. Jared Stansbury and Rob Gray here, breaking down Iowa State's 28-21 loss to Oklahoma down in Norman. Disappointing game, Rob. You know, I think that this is, I don't know, I would say based on what I've been able to see from the fan base on Twitter and stuff like that, you know, I think people are, I don't even know that people are really mad at this point. I think everybody's just really disappointed.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're used to it. You know, the outcome not, you know, I've probably written a real recap the same way 8 times about how it's a familiar script and you get the same heartbreak out of it. You know, you make a big mistake early, you pay for it. You know, luck doesn't bounce your way. When Oklahoma fumbles, it bounces right into their hands. And you just, again, you can't fail to execute in those key moments, be -2 in turnovers again and expect to come out with a win. Yet they're a 4th down pass to Chase Allen of keeping it alive for maybe having a reprise of the last trip to Norman, which is scoring a late touchdown and you know, deciding to go for 2 or send it to overtime, whatever it is. I mean, you know, I know people get tired of it, but it's still a fun team to watch. I mean, these guys pour everything into it, and they've given so much from the best season ever with the New Year's Six Bowl win last season. And, you know, it's tough I know people don't want to hear the silver lining thing peddled, but as Coach Campbell said in the post game, Derek Heft on the Cyclone Radio Network, blink and you're going to miss it. And if you miss it, you're going to want it back. You know, what this senior class has done, what Campbell's done in the last nearly 5 seasons. So, yeah, it just, as you said, I don't think people can be mad because it's just such a familiar way for the Cyclones to fall short in games that, again, you line up 11 on 11 all season, you have a chance to win, but don't execute in those key moments and maybe don't always get the luck to go your way either.
Absolutely, man. And, I think going back into the first half, there was just, I mean, really lasted through the entire game. There were some just really baffling things about this game. The offensive line was, to say that they struggled would probably be an understatement, to be frank. I think Brock was sacked 7 times. There were 7 other quarterback hurries. I mean, he was running for his life the majority of the game. But yet he was able to continue to battle. I think that there was also some very odd play calling decisions, specifically in the first half of the game. Tom Manning opened up the bag of tricks today.
Yeah.
And not just for one play, but a bunch of them. And it felt like in the first half, there was an air of desperation, which I understand desperation. You have nothing to lose, at the end of the day. So why not play with some desperation? But it felt like it bordered on recklessness at times to detrimental levels, specifically the last drive of the first half when you try and run the quarterback throwback to the backup quarterback. And, then a couple plays later, now you run it the wrong way. And Travis Hines tweeted out that Campbell said they didn't execute the play correctly. So you ran the play the wrong way. And then that backs you way up. And then all of a sudden you're facing, first and long, second and long, whatever it was, trying to get back into field goal range to take a lead going into halftime. Those were just the kinds of things that left me sitting there thinking man, these guys are trying way too hard to make something happen here, and it's not just Brock that's trying too hard to make something happen. Obviously he, went and made the play where he fumbled and it was returned for a touchdown. It was trying to make something happen. You're doing too much, but the play calling, I felt like even kind of led into that doing too much mentality.
Yeah, I mean, for me, your first point is what sticks out the most, the offensive line. I mean, 12 sacks in the first 10 games, 7 from Oklahoma today, 5 in the first half. Clear. I mean, I would say I joke as a Vikings fan with a fellow Vikings fans. The Cyclones and the Vikings are the team that if you blitz against them, you're almost always going to be successful. It seems like for some reason, but you know, I I actually was glad that they pulled out all the stops. Yeah, can you quibble with some of them and the execution, no doubt, but love the fake punt with Mevis.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
That got them completely off guard. And once again, Mevis showcased another skill. That guy can move a little bit. But I'm not trying to make light of anything here, but I mean, just again, weird as you say. I mean, they did so many things well. The defense to shut them down. I mean, to basically say we're going to make the quarterback beat us with his arm, and he couldn't do it. He had the 1 touchdown pass, but after the 74-yard run or whatever that tied the game up, to the Cyclones had the good opening drive and a replay that went their way. It just, like you say, a weird game. They did so many things well that you need to do to win, but then again, the fumble before halftime. You took the opening kickoff because you felt you could score a touchdown, and you did. So to go down 7 when Oklahoma's going to get the ball out of the break, it's something like, I think I tweeted, it's the worst possible thing at the worst possible time. And I feel sadly that's kind of been the story of this season too, when it comes to the win-loss record for the Cyclones.
Going up 7-0 in that first quarter was the first time Iowa State had held a lead in the first quarter against Oklahoma since 2015, which is, I think they held a 3-0 lead and then ended up losing like 52-21 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, I mean, Iowa State, if you told me before the game that Iowa State was going to hold Oklahoma to 96 yards passing, I mean, there would have been no way I would have thought Oklahoma was going to win the game,
Yep.
And like, I think that's what makes the game frustrating. And that there were just so many opportunities left out there to be able to win. You'd go back to the last play of the game, the overthrow to Chase Allen. I mean, Chase probably scores on that play with a good throw, and man, we've probably gone too long without giving a shout out to what Charlie Kohler was able to do today. 12 catches for 152 yards and a touchdown, was automatic on that last drive. The tight ends were they were so open for so much of the game. The fourth down play on that last drive where Charlie runs a hitch route and there's no one within 10 yards of him. I mean, those guys were fantastic for the entire game. Xavier Hutchinson had 7 catches for 48 yards. Joe Skates had the big catch early. The first drive, he had 2 catches for 38 yards. And then, Mike Rose was fantastic as well for Iowa State. He had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, and 3 tackles for loss. Craig McDonald led the Cyclones with 10 tackles. But man, it's those little things, that keep popping up that make the difference in the game. And if you could have ended the first half how it looked like they were going to, you go down and get 3 points and you don't give up a touchdown, that's a 10-point swing and the entire game looks completely different. It just is, I think it boils down to that at the end.
Yeah, Kohler had a cape on in that game. I mean, he was going to get open and he was going to catch the football. 12 catches, 14 targets, and 152 yards is outrageous. I mean, these guys want to win so bad. That's why we don't come out here. I mean, fans get frustrated. Imagine what these guys feel like. And it's a broken record type of thing, but these guys are the ones who put it all into it. Don't sit back with a beverage on Saturday and just want to be entertained. This is part of their life's work at this point. And, to not get the outcome they want, and the outcome, in some sense, you feel like you deserve because of the work, it's got to be extremely tough. So, I mean, it's so many guys. I'm looking at the fourth quarter stats. 202 yards of offense for Iowa State in the fourth quarter, 55 for Oklahoma. He outpossessed them 16 and a half minutes. I mean, Oklahoma would score fast when they scored, obviously. But, I mean, again, do so many things well. And yet those critical 1, 2, 3 things you can point to are the reason you lost the game. And as Coach Campbell said in the postgame too, you tip your cap to Oklahoma a little bit too. I mean, they've lost once all year. They're coming off that loss at home against a team that's always got their attention, one of 2 teams to beat them twice in the last 6 years. And, I think they put out their best shot. And the Cyclones matched it. except again for a couple of those critical things. And that's where the frustration comes in, but no more so, I'm sure, than for the guys who are out there on the field.
At the end of the day, man, I mean, it was a fantastic football game.
Yeah.
You just come up short, you don't win, and like I said, it's disappointing because that's happened a lot, and there's just some things that I've felt off. I don't even know like what it is. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to bring it up, but it just like something just seems off with everything. Like it just I don't even know how to put it, but that air of desperation I feel like has just been around, and just felt like this was the game where it really like all came to a head where you're just like, man, like something just seems weird. There's just a weird vibe, I guess.
Yeah. Well, imagine the internal frustration when you know how good you are. I mean, people can see on the field how good you are, that and the results don't come, right? I mean, our friend of Fanatic, Alex Gukin, and former Iowa State Daily scribe, that he has touched on something on Twitter that I've talked about a fair amount of times. I know other people have too, just how this feels like 2005, a super talented team that had so much out on the table and really, really, really could compete with just about anybody. But, sometimes bad luck, sometimes bad execution, sometimes you get some good luck and you give it back. I mean, you're right. It almost feels like fate says, it does a little Dikembe Mutombo finger wag this season. And that's obviously very unfortunate, but hey, got a chance to get another winning record in the Big 12, which was unheard of until Campbell got here. Go to a bowl game, win it. A lot for these guys to play for, and obviously a ton to feel proud of when you consider what's been built. Taking this program to the level that, again, broken record, but the fact that they can compete with anybody on the schedule was something no one thought possible.
Absolutely, man. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday on the podcast network, and after Matt Campbell's press conference. I'll talk to everybody on Monday on football and random things. Talk more about this game, be able to rewatch it, have some more thoughts. Thanks for tuning in to the Cyclone Fanatic post game report. Have a great rest of your weekend.